What would you do if, on your anniversary, your husband handed you divorce papers, moments after watching a video of your innocent girls' night out? How could one video, seen by everyone, turn your life completely upside down? Can you really blame your husband for what happens next, or is this all just a massive overreaction? The front door clicked shut behind me at 2:47 a.m., and I knew immediately that Adrien was awake. The house felt different when he was pretending to sleep. Too quiet, too still. I kicked off my heels and padded barefoot across the hardwood floor, my sequined dress still clinging to my skin from the club's humid air. "Hey," I whispered into the darkness of our bedroom. No response. Adrien lay on his side, facing away from me, his breathing deliberately even. I could see the tension in his shoulders, even in the dim light filtering through our curtains. I slipped into the bathroom and caught my reflection in the mirror. My makeup was smudged, my hair tousled from dancing, and there was a slight flush to my cheeks that had nothing to do with the alcohol. Jesse's cologne still lingered faintly on my dress, something woody and masculine that made my pulse quicken even now. It had been innocent, mostly innocent, just dancing, just harmless flirtation between coworkers. The kind of attention that made me feel alive again, reminded me that I was still attractive, still desirable. Adrien wouldn't understand. He never understood. When I emerged from the bathroom in my silk pajamas, Adrien was sitting up in bed, his laptop open beside him. "How was girls' night?" His voice was flat, emotionless. "Fine, good. We went to that new place downtown, had some drinks, danced a little." I kept my tone light, casual. "Sarah's going through a rough patch with her divorce, so we were mostly just being supportive." "Sarah wasn't there." My stomach dropped. "What?" "I called her house around midnight. Her mum said she's been sick with the flu for 3 days." I felt heat creep up my neck. "Oh, right. She cancelled last minute. I meant the other girls from work." "Which other girls?" "You don't know them." I turned away, busying myself with hanging up my dress. "Why are you interrogating me? Can't I have one night out without getting the 3rd degree?" Adrien closed his laptop with a sharp snap. "You smell like men's cologne." "It's crowded in clubs, Adrien. People bump into each other. God, you're being paranoid." "Am I?" He stood up and I could see the hurt in his eyes, the way his jaw was set. "Because Marcus from my office was at that club tonight. He saw you." My blood turned to ice. Marcus Bell, Adrien's co-worker, the office gossip who lived for drama. Of course he would be there. Of course he would see me with Jesse. So what if he did? I was dancing. It's not a crime. With Jesse Tran, your co-worker, the one you've been texting constantly for the past month. We're friends, Adrien. We work together, and I haven't been texting him constantly. That's ridiculous. But even as I said it, I knew it was a lie. The late-night messages, the inside jokes, the way my heart raced every time his name appeared on my phone screen. It had started innocently enough. Work conversations that gradually became more personal, more intimate. Jesse was everything Adrien wasn't. Spontaneous, exciting, dangerous. "Show me your phone." "Excuse me?" "Your phone, Kalantha. Show me your messages with Jesse." I laughed, but it sounded forced even to my own ears. "This is insane. I'm not showing you anything. I'm a grown woman, not a teenager with a curfew." Adrien stared at me for a long moment, and I saw something shift in his expression. The hurt was still there, but it was hardening into something else. Something that made me nervous. "Fine," he said quietly. "Don't show me." He walked past me toward the door, and I grabbed his arm. "Where are you going?" "Downstairs. I need some air." "Adrien, come on. You're overreacting. Nothing happened." He looked down at my hand on his arm, then back at my face. "Marcus said you and Jesse were all over each other. Said it looked like you were making out on the dance floor." "Marcus is a gossip and a liar. He probably didn't even see me clearly in that lighting." "He took a video." The words hit me like a physical blow. A video. evidence. My mind raced, trying to remember exactly what had happened on that dance floor. Jesse's hands on my waist, pulling me closer. The way I'd let him, the way I'd pressed against him as the music pounded around us. The moment when his lips had brushed my ear, when I'd tilted my head back and... "I want to see it," I said, my voice stronger than I felt. "No, you don't." "Yes, I do. Because whatever Marcus thinks he saw, it wasn't what it looked like." Adrien pulled his arm free from my grip. "Go to bed, Kalantha. We'll talk about this tomorrow. Don't walk away from me." But he was already gone, leaving me alone in our bedroom with the scent of Jesse's cologne still clinging to my skin and the sound of my own heartbeat thundering in my ears. I grabbed my phone from my purse and scrolled through my messages with Jesse. The conversation from earlier that evening was still there. "Jesse, you look incredible tonight." Me, "Stop, you're making me blush." Jesse, "Good, I like making you blush." Me, "You're terrible, Jesse, terribly attracted to you." I deleted the entire conversation, my fingers shaking as I tapped the screen. Then I opened a new message to my sister Sabine. Me, "Adrien's being psycho. Thinks I can't have male friends. Need to talk tomorrow." Her response came immediately, even at this late hour. "Sabine, he's always been jealous. You deserve better than his controlling BS. Call me in the morning." I felt a surge of gratitude for my sister's unwavering support. Sabine understood me in ways that Adrien never could. She knew what it was like to feel trapped, suffocated by a partner's insecurities. Downstairs, I could hear Adrien moving around in his home office. The soft click of his keyboard, the creak of his desk chair. He was probably calling Marcus, getting more details about the video. Or worse, he might be calling his mother, Miriam, who had never liked me anyway. I tried to sleep, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw Jesse's face. The way he'd looked at me tonight, like I was the only woman in the room. The way his body had felt pressed against mine, strong and warm and alive. Adrien hadn't looked at me like that in years. Around 4 a.m., I heard Adrien's phone ring downstairs. A brief, hushed conversation that I couldn't make out through the floorboards. When he finally came back to bed, he slipped under the covers without touching me, maintaining a careful distance that felt like a chasm. "Who was that?" I whispered. "My mother. I woke her up earlier." My heart sank. Miriam Morel was a formidable woman who had raised 3 sons and didn't suffer fools gladly. If Adrien had called her in the middle of the night, upset about his marriage, she would remember. She would ask questions. "What did you tell her?" "The truth." "Which is what, exactly?" Adrien turned to face me in the darkness. "That I don't recognize my wife anymore." The words cut deeper than any accusation could have. I wanted to reach for him, to explain, to make him understand that nothing had really happened. But the space between us felt insurmountable, filled with all the things I couldn't say and all the lies I'd already told. When morning came, Adrien was already gone. A note on the kitchen counter said he'd taken Isa to school early and would be working late. Our 7-year-old daughter's backpack was missing from its usual spot by the door, along with her favorite stuffed rabbit that she sometimes took to school when she was anxious. Had she heard us fighting? The thought made my stomach churn with guilt. Isa was sensitive, perceptive beyond her years. She picked up on tension between Adrien and me, even when we thought we were hiding it well. I made coffee with shaking hands and tried to plan my day. I needed to talk to Jesse, to make sure we were on the same page about what had happened. I needed to do damage control with Marcus, maybe convince him that what he'd seen wasn't as dramatic as it had appeared. Most importantly, I needed to figure out how to repair things with Adrien before the situation spiraled completely out of control. But as I sat at our kitchen table, staring out at the morning light filtering through our windows, I couldn't shake the feeling that it might already be too late. Sunday brunch at Rosario's had been a family tradition for 3 years. Every month, we'd gather with Adrien's mother, Miriam, my sister Sabine, and my mother Judith for eggs, Benedict, and bottomless mimosas. It was supposed to be a neutral, pleasant way to maintain family connections without the pressure of hosting at home. Today, it felt like walking into a minefield. I arrived 15 minutes late, having spent an extra 20 minutes in front of my bedroom mirror trying to cover the dark circles under my eyes. Adrien was already seated at our usual round table by the window, Issa colouring quietly beside him. The tension radiating from his posture was visible from across the restaurant. Sorry, I said breathlessly, sliding into the empty chair between Issa and my mother. Traffic was horrible. Judith squeezed my hand. You look tired, sweetheart. Everything okay? Fine. Just stayed up too late last night. I avoided looking at Adrien as I said it. Miriam, seated directly across from me, raised an eyebrow. At 60, she was still an intimidating woman. Silver hair pulled back in an elegant chignon, sharp blue eyes that missed nothing, the kind of posture that came from decades of teaching high school English. Adrien mentioned you had a girls' night out. I did. It was fun. I picked up the menu even though I knew it by heart. Has everyone ordered? We were waiting for you, Sabine said. My younger sister looked polished as always in a cream-coloured sweater that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. So tell us about this girls' night. Where did you go? I launched into a carefully rehearsed story about the new club downtown, emphasizing the female co-workers who had supposedly been there, describing the music and the drinks in detail, anything to avoid talking about Jessie. Sounds like you had a wonderful time, Judith said warmly. It's so important for couples to maintain their independence, don't you think, Adrien? Adrien's fork paused halfway to his mouth. Independence is one thing, disrespect is another. The table fell silent. Issa looked up from her colouring book, sensing the shift in atmosphere. Disrespect? I forced a laugh. What's disrespectful about having a night out with friends? Maybe we should discuss this at home, Adrien said quietly. No, let's discuss it now. I could feel my temper rising, fueled by embarrassment and the defensive anger that had been building since last night. Since you apparently think I did something wrong by going dancing. Miriam set down her coffee cup. Dancing? Yes, dancing. At a club. With music. You know, that thing people do for fun. Kalantha, Sabine said gently. Maybe what? Maybe I should ask my husband's permission before I leave the house. Maybe I should wear a GPS tracker so he can monitor my every move. Adrien's face had gone pale, but his voice remained steady. That's not what this is about. Then what is it about? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're trying to humiliate me in front of our families because you're insecure about me having male friends. The words hung in the air like a slap. I saw Judith's eyes widen, saw Miriam's expression harden, but I was too angry to stop. I work with men, Adrien. I talk to men. Sometimes I even laugh at their jokes. That doesn't mean I'm cheating on you. Is that what you call what happened with Jesse Tran, laughing at his jokes? My blood turned to ice. He'd said Jesse's name in front of everyone. There was no taking it back now. Jesse is a co-worker and a friend, period. A friend who had his hands all over you on the dance floor. That's not... I stopped, realizing I was about to admit that Jesse had been there at all. You weren't even there. You don't know what you're talking about. Marcus was there. He saw everything. Miriam leaned forward. Marcus Bell, from your office? Adrien nodded grimly. He took a video. The restaurant suddenly felt too hot, too bright. I could feel my family's eyes on me, could see the doubt creeping into their expressions. Even Sabine looked uncertain now. A video of what? Judith asked quietly. Before Adrien could answer, I saw them. Jesse and his girlfriend Tasha walking through the restaurant entrance, scanning the room for a table. My heart hammered against my ribs as Jesse's eyes found mine across the crowded dining room. He looked good. He always looked good. Dark hair still slightly mussed from sleep, wearing a fitted black t-shirt that showed off the results of his personal training sessions. Tasha was beside him, petite and pretty in an athletic way, her dark hair pulled back in a high ponytail. They were walking toward our table. "Kalantha." Tasha's voice was bright, friendly. "What a coincidence. How are you?" I forced a smile. "Hi, Tasha, Jesse. This is my family, my husband Adrien, my daughter Isa, my mother Judith, my sister Sabine, and my mother-in-law Miriam." Jesse nodded politely at everyone, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. He knew this was awkward. He knew about the video. "We were just talking about Kalantha's night out," Miriam said coolly. "Perhaps you could settle a dispute for us, Jesse. Were you at the club downtown last night?" I shot Jesse a warning look, but Tasha answered first. "He was. We both were, actually. Great music, wasn't it, Kalantha?" The lie I'd been building crumbled around me. If both Jesse and Tasha were there, then everyone would know that my story about a girls' night was fabricated. "Yes," I said weakly. "Great music." Tasha's expression shifted slightly, and I realized she was studying my face. "Although, Jesse, didn't you spend most of the night dancing with Kalantha? I barely saw you after we got there." The silence that followed was deafening. I could feel Adrien's eyes burning into me, could see the disappointment spreading across my mother's face like a stain. "We danced a few times," Jesse said carefully. "As friends." "Right," Tasha said, but her tone had cooled considerably. "As friends." She was looking at me differently now, and I realized that she was putting pieces together. The way Jesse had been distracted lately, the way he'd been checking his phone constantly. She was wondering about the text messages, the late-night conversations, the growing intimacy between us. "Well," Sabine said brightly, "dancing is harmless. I'm sure it was all very innocent." "I'm sure it was," Tasha agreed, but her smile was sharp now. Although, from where I was standing, it looked like a bit more than dancing. My face burned. "I don't know what you think you saw." "I saw my boyfriend with his hands on another woman's ass," Tasha said bluntly. "I saw another woman pressing herself against him like she was trying to crawl inside his skin. I saw two people who were definitely not acting like just friends." Isa looked up from her coloring book, confused by the tension in the adult conversation. Adrien reached over and gently covered her ears. "Maybe we should take this outside," he said quietly. "No," Tasha said, her voice rising slightly. "Maybe we should talk about it right here. Maybe Kalantha should explain to her family why she was grinding on my boyfriend while her husband was at home with their daughter." "That's not what happened," I said desperately. "You're exaggerating." "Am I? Because I have eyes, Kalantha, and so does everyone else who was at that club last night." The words hit me like a physical blow. Everyone else who was there. How many people had seen us? How many videos were floating around? How many of our mutual friends and co-workers now had evidence of what had happened between Jesse and me? "I think you should leave," Miriam said coldly, looking directly at me. "Excuse me." "You heard me. You've embarrassed yourself and your family enough for one day." "Miriam," Judith protested weakly, "surely we can discuss this calmly." "There's nothing to discuss," Miriam said. "My son's wife was caught cheating, and now she's lying about it to our faces. I won't sit here and pretend that's acceptable." "I wasn't cheating." The words came out louder than I'd intended, drawing stares from other diners. "I was dancing, that's all." "Then show us the video," Adrien said quietly. "What?" "Marcus sent it to me this morning. Show everyone the video, Kalantha. Let them see this innocent dancing you keep talking about." My mouth went dry. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. "Actually," Tasha said, pulling out her phone, "I took a video too. Would you like me to show it?" The restaurant seemed to spin around me. 2 videos, multiple witnesses. My carefully constructed story was falling apart in real time, in front of my family, in front of everyone. "This is ridiculous," I said, standing up abruptly. "I don't have to sit here and be attacked for having a social life." "A social life?" Miriam's voice was ice cold. "Is that what you call it when a married woman acts like a single woman in public?" "I'm leaving," I announced, grabbing my purse. When you all decide to act like rational adults instead of jealous children, you know where to find me. I stormed out of the restaurant, my heels clicking sharply against the tile floor. Behind me, I could hear the murmur of voices, the sound of my family discussing what had just happened, discussing me. In my car, my hands shook as I started the engine. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Unknown. Thought you should see this. Below the message was a video file. With trembling fingers, I opened it. There I was on the screen, in my sequined dress, pressed against Jesse on the crowded dance floor. His hands were on my waist, my hips, pulling me closer as we moved to the music. I watched myself tilt my head back as he whispered something in my ear, watched the way I smiled and pressed even closer to him. The camera caught the moment when his lips brushed my neck, when my eyes fluttered closed in obvious pleasure. It looked exactly like what it was: a married woman having an affair. I deleted the video immediately, but I knew it was too late. If I had received it, then others had too. The evidence was out there, spreading through our social circles like wildfire. My phone rang. Adrien's name appeared on the screen. I didn't answer. Monday morning at Morrison & Associates felt like walking into a courtroom where I was the defendant. The usual chatter around the coffee machine died when I walked past. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. People who normally greeted me with warm smiles suddenly found their computer screens fascinating. I made it to my desk and tried to focus on the stack of insurance claims, waiting for my review, but I could feel eyes on me. Whispers followed me down hallways. When I went to the restroom, 2 women from accounting were already there, their conversation cutting off abruptly when they saw me. "Morning, Kalantha," one of them said with false brightness. "Morning," I replied, heading for a stall. As soon as I closed the door, their whispers resumed. I caught fragments. "Can't believe she... Poor husband. That video. The video. It was everywhere." By lunch, I'd received the file from 6 different people: co-workers, acquaintances, even someone from my yoga class. Each message came with its own brand of false concern. "Saw this going around. Thought you should know." "Is this really you? People are saying..." "Girl, you need to see what's circulating." I spent my lunch break in my car, calling Jesse. He answered on the 4th ring. "Kalantha, we can't keep talking. Tasha is furious and..." "The video is everywhere, Jesse. Everyone at work has seen it." "I know. It's bad here too. My boss called me into his office this morning, asked if I was having personal issues that might affect my professional judgment." "What did you tell him?" "The truth. That we're friends, we danced, and people are making it into something it's not." But even as he said it, we both knew it wasn't entirely true. What had happened between us on that dance floor was more than friendship, and the video made that obvious to anyone with eyes. "We need to get ahead of this," I said. "Control the narrative." "How?" "Social media. If we both post something explaining that we're just friends, that the video makes it look worse than it was." "Kalantha, I can't. Tasha made me promise to cut contact with you completely. She thinks..." He paused. "She thinks we were having an emotional affair." Were we? The question hung between us. I thought about all those late-night text conversations, the way my heart raced when I saw his name on my phone, the fantasies I'd entertained about what might happen if circumstances were different. "I have to go," Jesse said finally. "I'm sorry about all this. I really am." The line went dead. I sat in my car, staring at my phone, feeling more alone than I had in years. Then I opened Facebook and began typing. I'm disappointed by the gossip and rumors circulating about a recent night out with friends. The video being shared is taken completely out of context and makes an innocent evening look inappropriate. I'm a grown woman who is allowed to have male friends and enjoy myself occasionally. To those spreading this video and these lies, you should be ashamed of yourselves. To my real friends, thank you for knowing the truth about who I am. I posted it before I could second-guess myself. The responses came immediately. some supportive, mostly from people who didn't know the full story, but others were less kind. Innocent? That didn't look innocent to me. Maybe focus on your marriage instead of your male friends. Your husband deserves better. Each comment felt like a slap. I started responding to the negative ones, defending myself, explaining that people were overreacting. But the more I argued, the worse it seemed to get. My phone rang. Mom. Kalantha, honey, I just saw your Facebook post. Maybe you should take it down. Why? I have every right to defend myself. It's making things worse. People are commenting, and some of the things they're saying. She trailed off. I pulled up the post again. The comments had multiplied. Screenshots of the video were being shared in the replies. Someone had even found other photos from that night, pictures I didn't remember being taken, showing Jesse and me at the bar, his arm around my waist as we laughed at something. This is insane, I muttered. Sabine thinks you should talk to a lawyer, Mom continued, about the video being shared without your consent. Sabine's right. This is harassment. But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't true. The video had been taken in a public place. There was no expectation of privacy on a crowded dance floor. And technically, I hadn't done anything illegal, just something that looked very, very bad. When I got home that evening, Adrien's car wasn't in the driveway. I found a note on the kitchen counter. Took Issa to my mother's for dinner. Home late. We need to talk. The house felt enormous and empty without them. I poured myself a large glass of wine and tried to figure out how to salvage my marriage, my reputation, my life. My phone buzzed with a text from Issa's teacher, Mrs. Patterson. Hi, Mrs. Morell. Issa seemed upset today and mentioned that people were talking about a video of you. Some of the other parents have been discussing it, and I wanted to reach out. If there's anything affecting Issa's home situation that might impact her schoolwork, please let me know. We're here to support her. My blood ran cold. It had reached Issa's school. Other parents were talking about it. My 7-year-old daughter was being affected by my mistakes. I called Adrien immediately. What? His voice was clipped, professional. Mrs. Patterson texted me. The video has reached Issa's school. Other parents are talking about it. Silence. Adrien, are you there? I'm here. I'm thinking about how to explain to our daughter why her mother is all over the internet making out with another man. I wasn't making out with anyone. Have you watched the video, Kalantha? Really watched it? I had, multiple times, and I knew how it looked. Where are you? We need to talk about this. We do need to talk, but not tonight. Tonight I'm going to have dinner with my mother and my daughter and pretend that my wife isn't the subject of every piece of gossip in this town. Adrien, I spoke to a lawyer today. The words hit me like a physical blow. You what? I called David Chen, asked him about my options. Your options for what? For protecting Issa, for protecting myself, for dealing with a spouse who seems determined to destroy our family's reputation. I'm not trying to destroy anything. This is all being blown out of proportion. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like my wife had an affair, lied about it, got caught on video, and is now attacking anyone who points out the obvious. It wasn't an affair. Then what was it, Kalantha? Because that video shows you acting like a single woman. The text messages on your phone, yes, I looked, show you flirting with another man for weeks. Your behavior shows someone who has checked out of this marriage completely. I felt like I was drowning. You went through my phone? You left it on the kitchen counter this morning. It was buzzing constantly with people sending you that video. I saw Jesse's name in your recent messages. I saw what you two have been talking about. But I deleted those messages. Unless he'd seen them before I deleted them, or unless there were others I'd forgotten about. We can work through this, I said desperately. Couples therapy, counseling, whatever you want. But don't throw away 12 years of marriage over one stupid mistake. One mistake? Kalantha, you've been lying to me for weeks. You planned a secret night out with another man. You let him touch you in ways that no married woman should. You got caught on video, and instead of apologizing, you're attacking everyone who saw what happened. Because everyone is overreacting. Are we? Or are we finally seeing who you really are? The line went dead. I sat in my empty kitchen, staring at my phone, feeling my world crumble around me. Outside, I could hear the normal sounds of suburban evening life. Kids playing in yards, lawnmowers running, the distant sound of a barbecue grill being fired up. Life going on as normal for everyone except me. My phone buzzed with another message. This time it was from my sister, Sabine. Just saw your FB post. Maybe dial it back a little. You're coming across as defensive. People are starting to take sides, and not all of them are on yours. I stared at the message, feeling betrayed. Sabine was supposed to be on my side unconditionally. She was supposed to support me no matter what. I typed back, "Whose side are you on?" Her response came quickly. "Yours always. But I'm worried about Issa, and I think you need to consider that maybe Adrien has a point." I threw my phone across the room. It hit the wall and clattered to the floor, the screen cracking in a spiderweb pattern. Everyone was against me. My husband, my sister, my co-workers, even strangers on the internet. All because of one moment of weakness, one night when I'd allowed myself to feel attractive and desired and alive. It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair that women couldn't have male friends without being accused of cheating. It wasn't fair that one video could destroy everything I'd worked for. It wasn't fair that I was being judged by people who didn't know me, who didn't understand the complexities of marriage and attraction and human connection. But as I sat alone in my kitchen, drinking wine and feeling sorry for myself, a small voice in the back of my mind whispered the truth I didn't want to acknowledge. Maybe it wasn't about fairness. Maybe it was about choices. And maybe I had chosen wrong. 3 days passed before Adrien came home for more than just a change of clothes. When he finally walked through the door Thursday evening, he looked like a stranger, hollow-eyed, thinner, wearing the same dress shirt I'd seen him in 2 days earlier. Issa wasn't with him. "Where's Issa?" I asked from the kitchen doorway. "Still at my mother's. She's going to stay there for a few more days." "A few more days? Adrien, she needs to be home. She needs stability." He looked at me with something that might have been pity. "Stability? You think this house is stable right now?" He had a point. I'd barely slept since Sunday, surviving on coffee and anxiety. The house was a mess. Dishes piled in the sink, laundry overflowing from baskets, mail scattered across the counter. I'd called in sick to work Tuesday and Wednesday, unable to face the stares and whispers. "We need to talk," I said. "Yes, we do." He walked past me into his home office and emerged with a manila folder thick with papers. My stomach clenched as he set it on the kitchen table. "What's that?" "Evidence." "Evidence of what?" "Sit down, Kalantha." I remained standing, arms crossed defensively. "I'll stand, thanks." Adrien opened the folder and pulled out a stack of printed screenshots. "These are your text messages with Jesse Tran, going back 6 weeks. I got them from your phone backup before you deleted them." My heart hammered against my ribs as he spread the pages across our kitchen table. There they were in black and white, weeks of increasingly intimate conversations, flirtations that had grown bolder over time, messages that no married woman should have been sending to another man. "You had no right. I had every right. You're my wife. We share a phone plan, a cloud account, a life. All we did until you decided to start sharing intimate details with your coworker instead of your husband." I scanned the messages, cringing at how they looked in print. Conversations about our marriage problems, complaints about feeling unappreciated, discussions of what we found attractive in each other. It was all there. "These are private conversations between friends." "Friends?" Adrien picked up one of the pages. "Let me read you something. From 3 weeks ago. Jesse says, 'I can't stop thinking about you.' You respond, 'Good. I like being on your mind.' He says, If you were single, I'd ask you out in a heartbeat. You say, if I were single, I'd say yes in a heartbeat. The words sounded even worse out loud. I tried to remember the context, the playful mood I'd been in when I'd typed them, but all I could hear was how they must sound to my husband. That doesn't mean anything. It was just hypothetical. Hypothetical. Adrien's voice was flat. Here's another one, from 2 weeks ago. You tell him, Adrien and I barely talk anymore. I feel like a stranger in my own house. Jessie responds, you deserve someone who appreciates you. You say, someone like you. He says, exactly like me. I felt heat creep up my neck. I was venting. People vent to their friends. About their marriages, to people they're attracted to. He pulled out another page. Here's my favorite. From 5 days ago. Jessie says, can't wait to see you tonight. Save me a dance. You respond, I'll save you more than a dance. The room spun around me. I'd forgotten about that message, sent in a moment of reckless excitement as I'd gotten ready for the club. It sounded terrible now, loaded with implications I'd tried not to examine at the time. It wasn't what it sounds like. Then what was it, Kalantha? Because it sounds like you were planning to cheat on me. I wasn't planning anything, it was just flirting. Harmless flirting. Harmless? Adrien stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. You call this harmless? You were having an emotional affair for 6 weeks, and then you took it physical at that club. It wasn't physical. I've seen the video, remember? I've seen his hands on you. I've seen the way you responded to his touch. That wasn't dancing, Kalantha. That was foreplay. The accusation hit me like a slap. How dare you? How dare I what? Point out the obvious. Tell the truth about what my wife was doing while I was home with our daughter. Nothing happened. We danced, we flirted a little, but nothing happened. Yet. The word hung between us like a blade. What's that supposed to mean? It means that if you hadn't been caught, if that video hadn't been taken, how far would you have gone? Would you have gone home with him that night? Would you have met him for coffee the next day? Would you have found excuses to work late together? I opened my mouth to deny it, but the words wouldn't come. Because the truth was, I didn't know. In that moment on the dance floor, with Jesse's hands on my body and his breath in my ear, I'd felt more alive than I had in years. If he'd asked me to leave with him... I see, Adrien said quietly. Your silence is answer enough. You don't understand what it's like, I said desperately. You don't understand how lonely I've been, how invisible I feel in this marriage. When was the last time you looked at me the way Jessie looked at me that night? When was the last time you made me feel beautiful, desired, wanted? So this is my fault. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying that marriages take work from both people, and we've both let things slide. I've let things slide. Adrien's voice rose for the first time. I work 60 hours a week to support this family. I come home every night. I help with homework. I do bath time. I read bedtime stories. I take care of our daughter while you go out dancing with other men. That's not fair. What's not fair is that I've been trying to save our marriage while you've been planning to destroy it. He pulled out another set of papers from the folder. These are your social media posts from the last 3 days. The ones where you attack anyone who questions your behavior. The ones where you call your friends and family jealous and small-minded for being concerned about you. I'd forgotten about those posts. In my anger and desperation, I'd lashed out at everyone who'd tried to talk sense into me. I'd called my mother-in-law controlling, accused my coworkers of being envious, suggested that anyone who had a problem with my behavior was simply jealous of my freedom. You've managed to alienate almost everyone who cares about you, Adrien continued. Your mother called me yesterday. She's worried about you. She thinks you might be having some kind of breakdown. I'm not having a breakdown. I'm defending myself against people who are trying to destroy me. Who's trying to destroy you, Kalantha? Your family, your friends, me? Or are you destroying yourself? I stared at him, this man I'd been married to for 12 years, and realized I barely recognized him. When had he become so cold, so analytical? When had he stopped looking at me with love and started looking at me like I was a problem to be solved? "I want you to get help," he said quietly. "What kind of help?" "Therapy, counseling, whatever it takes to figure out why you're sabotaging our marriage." "I'm not sabotaging anything. You're having an affair, Kalantha, emotional and heading toward physical. You're lying about it, attacking people who point it out, and refusing to take responsibility for your actions. If that's not sabotage, what is?" I felt tears prick at my eyes. I never meant for any of this to happen. But it did happen, and now we have to deal with the consequences. "What consequences?" Adrien closed the folder and picked it up. "I'm staying at my mother's indefinitely. Issa will stay there too, at least during the school week. I don't want her exposed to any more of this drama." "You can't take my daughter away from me." "I'm not taking her away. I'm protecting her. There's a difference." "Adrien, please, we can work through this. I'll stop talking to Jessie. I'll delete my social media. I'll do whatever you want." "It's too late for that." "It's not too late. People make mistakes. People forgive each other. That's what marriage is about." He looked at me for a long moment, and I saw something flicker in his eyes. Pain, maybe, or regret. "Marriage is about trust, Kalantha, and I don't trust you anymore." The words hit me harder than any of his accusations had. "Don't say that." "It's true. I don't trust you to tell me the truth. I don't trust you to prioritize our family. I don't trust you to make good decisions when you're angry or hurt or feeling neglected." "So what are you saying?" "I'm saying that I need time to figure out if this marriage can be saved. And I need you to figure out if you actually want to save it, or if you'd rather keep playing the victim." He walked toward the door, then stopped. "By the way, Jesse quit his job today. Apparently the drama was affecting his work environment too much. His girlfriend gave him an ultimatum. Cut all contact with you or lose her. He chose her." The information hit me like a physical blow. Jesse was gone. The man who'd made me feel alive again, who'd seen me as more than just a wife and mother, had chosen someone else over me, just like everyone else in my life seemed to be doing. "I'll be back this weekend to get more clothes," Adrien said. "I'd appreciate it if you weren't here when I come." And then he was gone, leaving me alone in our kitchen with the evidence of my betrayal spread across the table and the sound of my own heartbeat thundering in my ears. I picked up one of the printed text conversations and read it again, trying to remember what I'd been feeling when I'd written those words to Jessie. I'd been lonely, yes, neglected, certainly, but I'd also been excited by the attention, thrilled by the secret intimacy, addicted to the way he'd made me feel special and desired. Now, reading those same words in the context of my destroyed marriage, they just looked pathetic. My phone rang. Sabine's name appeared on the cracked screen. "Hey," I answered weakly. "I just talked to Adrien. He told me he moved out. Temporarily. He moved out temporarily." "Kalantha." Sabine's voice was gentler than I'd heard it in days. "Maybe this is for the best. Maybe you both need some space to figure things out. Whose side are you on?" "I'm on your side. I'm always on your side. But I'm also worried about you. This isn't like you, the way you've been acting. The social media posts, the attacks on people who care about you. Everyone keeps saying that. But this is exactly like me. This is who I am when I'm not trying to be the perfect wife and mother every second of every day." "Is it?" "Because the sister I know is kind and thoughtful and takes responsibility for her mistakes. The sister I know doesn't blame everyone else when things go wrong." I felt tears spill over onto my cheeks. "I don't know who I am anymore, Sabine. I don't know how everything got so messed up." "It got messed up because you made some bad choices. But bad choices don't have to define you. You can still fix this." "How?" "Adrien won't even talk to me. Issa's staying at his mother's house. Jessie is gone. Everyone at work treats me like I have a contagious disease." "You fix it by taking responsibility, by apologizing, by getting help if you need it, by proving that you're the person we all know you can be. And if it's too late, if Adrien decides he doesn't want to be married to me anymore." Sabine was quiet for a moment. Then you deal with that when it happens. But right now, focus on being someone your daughter can be proud of. Focus on being someone you can be proud of. After we hung up, I sat in my empty house and tried to imagine what that might look like. Being someone my daughter could be proud of. Being someone I could be proud of. It felt impossible. But maybe, just maybe, it was the only way forward.